Hey, and welcome to my channel and to another weigh-in day. Before we get to weigh-in, I have got to tell y'all, it is my anniversary. It is 27 27 years, okay? Here's what's funny about it, and I think I told you this last year, and if I had been on YouTube before that, I would have told you all those years. We forget every single year because we have never made a big deal of our anniversary. I know some people are like, but that is a big day. It is, but our way of thinking is, if you need one day to make your whole year good, then something's wrong with the rest of the year. There ain't nothing wrong with celebrating. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying we're not card people. We're not big hoop-de-doo people. Now over the kids, we make hoop-de-doos over them, but over each other, we just don't. And so if it weren't for Facebook and Facebook memories, I would not have remembered it was our anniversary. The first thing I did when I opened Facebook this morning was to see, and every year there's a memory that says, oh, I forgot again, oh, I forgot again. As long as I've had Facebook, 10 years? And the very first memory was, OMG, I forgot again, thanks to Facebook memories. So thanks to Facebook memories, it is my anniversary today, so I'll have to tell him when he gets home, happy anniversary. He'll be like, this is what he'll say. He'll say, well, happy anniversary to you. And then that'll be that. The kids think it's hilarious. Like, why, y'all forget again? Yep, sure did. Hold on. Oh, that's a quiet truck, I think. And a Jeep. So, happy anniversary to me. 27. What'd I say, 27? Yep. We've been together longer, but married 27. So, oh, we're here for weigh-in. I weighed in at 333.8 for a gain of 5 pounds, and that puts me at 43.3. It's the same, you know what, different day as last week. I did not set out to lose weight. I did not set out to gain weight. I just set out to live my life, and that's just what I'm doing. I'm getting myself together. I guess I'm Ross and Rachel. We were on a break. I guess I'm on a break. Not a break so bad that I'm going overboard. Now, part of that 5 pounds, let me tell you, I walked one day last week, and then something happened Saturday, and I'm not going to walk again until it is situated, and we're going to talk about that. So I'm not completely off the rails. I don't know how to describe it. Seriously, I'm not completely off the rails. I still think some days I do good, some days I don't, but some of this is from my legs. My legs are really big. I know there's one of you out there, I won't mention your name because you know who you are, suffers tremendously from lymphedema. I mean, she suffers bad. She has it worse than I ever had it, even when I went through the treatments. I feel sorry for her. So about 3 weeks ago, they went from being normally big to swole. They just did it again. And I went to the doctor last week for my regular checkup every 3 months, whether I want to or not. And she's like, ooh, your legs are big. I'm like, yeah, I know. My feet are like, oh my gosh, they're huge. And my, like from the knees down, they're huge. And when I wear my Crocs, which they're supposed to be 12 extra wide, and I don't think they know what extra wide means unless my feet, well, my feet are swollen. I guess if they're not swollen, the extra wide's big enough. But when I put them on, I have to like beat it against the door facing to slide all the way on. And then when I take it off, you can see the circles of the Crocs with where my feet swelled up in them. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so my part of that 5 pounds is me, and part of it is swelling. So I'll own the part that's me, and then the rest, it just, I can't help it. It just is what it is. So I'll get back to losing weight when I feel like getting back to losing weight. That's all I know how to say. That's the only way I know how to say it, is when I feel like it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not completely off the rails. I ain't had a little Debbie cake, nothing like that. I ain't gone out and bought candies and cookies and cakes. That to me is off the rails, when you go where you know you shouldn't go. I've just been cooking regular food and eating regular food, eating more of it than I should, that kind of thing. Anyway, so what had happened, I'm like, did I tell you about my anniversary? I forgot my anniversary. Hold on. Oh, let me show you. Hold on. This is my new cup I made. This comes from, if you watch The Big Bang, you remember the episode where Sheldon was trying to hide from Amy. It was getting too much for him, and he was changing the numbers on the building and everything, and he was telling it to the postman, and the postman says, "Witches with a B do be crazy." And that's just one of the funniest lines, just hearing the way Sheldon says it. And you know how I feel about witches, you know how I love them, so I just made myself a mug. I love it. Anyway, Saturday I was working on my feet. Now, I get bad thick feet because I can't reach them like I used to. I used to could, sit on the bed, bend my knees sideways, and really get down there and work with a little peg egg and do all that and keep them up. Well, I can't do that anymore because my knees just don't bend. You know how Barbie dolls' knees don't bend sideways? Mine don't either. I knew I was a Barbie. They don't bend backwards like hers, though. I'll tell you that. Well, anyway, I had soaked them and put this stuff on, and when I lean down, I have to contort to stretch one arm under, because I can't. The way I cannot move is hard to explain, but I cannot move and I cannot bend. I have to contort and I have to groan and pull and stretch. So I was going in the bedroom to put some Vaseline and socks on my feet after I got them soaked. Well, I flung my leg up there, and I can't bend it, but I can fling it up there straight, and then I have to really, really reach. Well, when I did, I looked, I'm like, something don't look right. So I called David. I said, "Honey," I said, "come here and look at my foot." He come in there. I said, "Do you notice anything funny?" He goes, "Yeah, that toe's purple." He started looking at it. He said, "It's purple all the way around." I'm like, "I know. What is that about?" My fourth toe over here on my left leg, purple. Like, the little girl on Willy Wonka that eat the blueberry and turn purple. I believe it was more purple than her. It was purple all the way around the whole toe, and it was swollen. And so I'm like, well, what's that about? What's that about? I'm like, I hadn't hit it. I have not bumped it. Not even the least little bit. There's been no kind of trauma to that toe. Well, I thought maybe it'll go away, because see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing. Back in 2000, and I remember it was 2000 because that's the year we went on vacation to the beach. That's the year I ended up in the hospital at the beach. My gallbladder, I did not know it was my gallbladder for how many months I would have these. I thought that was the most pain I have ever felt until my back went out. And then that kind of trumped it. But that was the most, I don't know, it might have been, no, my back was worse. Still, up until that point, the most excruciating pain I have ever felt in my life. And it felt like a gas pain. But it radiated up and around and back, across the shoulder, the back, and then across the front of the shoulder. I mean, I would wake David up in the middle of the night crying my eyes out from the pain. He's like, let's go to the hospital. And I would tell him, because I was so stupid, I would say, no, they're just going to tell me that it's gas and I'm going to be I'm going to be embarrassed. I wouldn't go to the hospital because I thought I was having super duper gas pains and I didn't want to go down there and be embarrassed. Well, then we go on vacation and I have another attack. We went to Dixie Stampede and I had another attack and I ended up in the hospital in the emergency room and found out it was a gallbladder. Long story short, they said, you go to your doctor as soon as you get home. So I come home and they do the little ultrasound, whatever it is they do, and send me home. And that's back in the days where you didn't get your results immediately. Today, as soon as you have a test, the results, they pop up. You have a new test result. So, I don't know, I come home and whatever, and I get a phone call from my mama's best friend. They work together. And she says, did your mama find you? I'm like, no. She goes, well, the hospital called her looking for you, said they've got to do surgery now. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, I don't know why they didn't call me, but they called my emergency contact apparently. I guess she had been up there forever. I never had changed it when we got married, I don't guess. Well, like I said, I didn't go to the doctor, so she said, well, your mama's looking for you. And I'm like, well, she ain't showed up here. And I don't know if I had been out and about and she couldn't find me. I don't know. But they wanted me in the hospital right then and there and to have a surgery. So David's on the road, and I remember it. He was on his way to Fayetteville. I called his daddy. I said, and there was not no cell phone back then. Not for us. I don't even know if there was cell phones. Was there? I don't know. Was there cell phones in 2000? I guess there was. They wasn't in our house. So I called his daddy, just crying my eyes out. I'm like, you got to try to get a hold of David. They're making me go to the hospital and have surgery. So I go to the hospital, and they told me that too much infection in it to do the surgery. It was too infected. It was so full of gallstones. It was pathetic. It was like to the point of rupture, and it was pathetic. I had let it go to get to that point because I was too stubborn to go to the doctor. Let that be a lesson to you. Don't be stubborn and go to the doctor. Just do it. So they sent me home for a 3-day round of some Uber antibiotics, and then I come in and have my surgery, have my gallbladder out and all that. Go away. Anyway, that was the situation. Well, I told you that. That was the situation with my toe. I'm like, I am not going to go to the doctor, and then they tell me it's like something stupid. But who goes to the doctor for a purple toe? You know what I mean? Turns out a purple toe is more important than you think. So come Monday, it was terrible looking. I took a picture of it because on our doctors, the whole medical group, they have this thing called My Chart. Some of you might have that. And you can contact all your doctors, do all your business, through that. And so I sent my doctor a picture. I said, this just popped up Saturday out of the blue. Does it look like anything? I don't know. And I told her, I said, I didn't bump it or hit it or nothing like that. Didn't stub it, nothing. She messaged me back right away. Listen, she's a good doctor. She is dead on her messages. She messaged me back and she said, you need to go to the ER and make sure it's not a blood clot. And I was talking to Joan on the phone. I'm like, she just messaged me and said I need to go to the ER, and Joan's like, well, you need to go. I'm like, well, I don't want to go to the hospital. Joan's like, well, you better go. And I said, well, let me get a bath, because you don't go to the hospital if you ain't had a bath. And when I had got out of the bathtub, I had sent another message to the doctor. I said, do I need to go for real? Well, my cell phone is acting up. That's why me and Joan was talking on my home phone. My cell phone, I keep needing to change providers. It sucks. Every time we try to get on the phone and do a FaceTime, it drops it, and it's so aggravating. And it's dropping, oh, there's a cardinal. Oh, y'all know how I feel about my cardinals. That's somebody visiting. Anyway, where was I? What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, my phone rang, and twice it dropped the call. It was the doctor herself calling me personally. And so she sent me a message. She said, I've tried to call you. She said, you need to go to the ER. So she was calling me personally. So I had to wake David up early and tell him, okay, I got to go to the ER. He's like, you want me to tell you? I'm like, no, not for a toe. But when she said the word blood clot, it kind of had me, a little concerned. So I get there, and it is packed. I mean, this was Monday night. I got there at 6 o'clock. It was slam packed. And they got me checked in. I sat down. There was this little older man and his daughter. And she said, well, he's been here for 7 hours. I'm like, 7 hours? And they've not seen you yet? I said, no, they come back, put you to check your vitals and send you back. Said he'd been sitting there for 7 hours. Well, I hadn't been there long, and then they called me back, because as soon as you do get there and get checked in, they come and do triage on you, check your vitals and all this and that. Listen, there was one woman sitting in a wheelchair, just slumped back with the blankets all around her. She looked pitiful, and he said she'd been there about as long as he had. Well, I told that nurse, I said, is it really a 7-hour wait? And she said, no, more about 4 or 5. She said, he's exaggerating. I'm like, whew, still, that's a long time. Well, they took my blood pressure, and one of the doctors came in and got this little handheld, like, ultrasound machine and run it on my foot. And then this other nurse came in and said, is your blood pressure normally high? I said, no. I said, it might be because I'm nervous. When the doctor says you might have a blood clot, you get kind of nervous. And he goes, well, it's pretty high. And I looked over at the machine, and it was through the roof high. I mean, it was like, yeah. I said, oh, no, it doesn't get that high. He goes, that's what I'm talking about. It's high. They did that. They said, we're going to get you back and do an ultrasound. Okay. So I go back out in the waiting room. Wasn't long. Here comes this little fella. Takes me down to get a leg ultrasound. They go from the inner thigh all the way down. There was no blood clot. So then I go back out there, and then they go and draw blood. And then I go back out there, and they finally get me a room. And the doctor comes in, like 2 different nurses talk to you, doctor talks to you. You sure you didn't bump it? No, I promise you, if I had bumped it that hard, I would have fell down and broke my face. So he's sitting down there, and he's squeezing and twisting it and flipping it up and everything. You know I have neuropathy in my feet. And he said, does it hurt? I'm like, no, it has absolutely no feeling whatsoever. I said, plus I have neuropathy, so if it did hurt, I might not know. And he got through. He said, I need to go out a little bit. He was scratching his head. He told me that later on. He said, sometimes us doctors just scratch our head. And he was getting ready to go out and study on it a little bit. He goes, since you can feel it, I don't think we need to do an x-ray. Well, I said, okay, that's fine. But then somehow he brought up the fact that he was squeezing it really hard. I'm like, oh, you were? He said, yeah. He said, I was squeezing it really hard. I'm like, well, I didn't feel that. He goes, oh, well, then I need to look at your bones. X-ray. So then I went and got an x-ray on my foot. No broken bones. You sit in the hospital. Hurry up and wait. That's what you do at the hospital. Well, here he comes with another doctor. He said, I brought somebody in smarter than me. And then that doctor looks. He goes, You know, he said, I got one just like that on my foot. He said, but I banged mine. He sat down there and he poked it and twisted it and pinched it and did all that stuff. And he looked at me and he said, let us go out here and talk about this a little bit. I said, okay. So then the ER doctor comes back by himself. He said, we talked about it. He goes, I even called a vascular doctor. I guess they have them on call, you know. He said, and they want to see you for more tests. I'm like, okay. He said, that's what he told me. He said, sometimes those doctors just scratch our heads. He said, but if they don't call you in the morning, you call them. So, I got a phone call from them Tuesday, and she wanted to see me this week, but she wanted me to have a CT scan done before she got to see me. Well, the woman that called me was going to give it time to get a CT, but then turns out the woman wasn't going to be there Friday or Thursday. So that meant Tuesday, yesterday, or today, or Tuesday or Wednesday. This is Thursday, ain't it? I was either going to have to do it same day or next day or whatever. She said, let me call. So she got me in the same day appointment yesterday, the same day as the doctor, put it that way. So yesterday morning I went and had a CT scan on my chest and abdomen. And then yesterday afternoon I went to the vascular doctor and she had the, oh my Lord, it's that Jeep and it's blue, and I've never noticed he's got a decal on the front side. It's the Blue Beast. So I got the CT done, and I was going to tell you, sitting in that waiting room, I don't know why I just thought of this. It was cold. It was, when I say I'm cold, it's cold. It was ice cold, and there was this woman walking around giving blankets. She said, do you need a blanket? Well, she didn't ever come to my little section. And she would disappear for a while, and then she finally come out. And I told that woman, I said, next time I see her, I'm getting me a blanket because I'm freezing. And you know, I just had on a little top like this. And so she got it. She went down to the, because it went way back, went back in there talking about, want a blanket, want a blanket. Well, she walked back up and she was standing there talking to somebody else and the police officer. There's a police officer little station in there. And I went up to her, I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, do you mind if I get a blanket? And the policeman goes, I'll get it. I know her. I'll get it. I'll get it for you. I know her. And I'm like, I know he's got a mask on, but I don't think I know him. And the woman told me, she goes, oh, well, you must be important then if he's going to go get it. Well, here he come back with my blanket. And I swear to you, he says, I won't tell him who you are. Who am I? I don't know why he did that. He goes, I know he didn't know me, but it was funny. Listen, who knew? Who knew I was a star in the ER waiting room? So, anyway, I went to the vascular doctor yesterday, and she said my CT looked real good. Lord, I didn't mean to slurp that. She said that, you know, everything, the arteries that they come out and do this kind of thing and then down through your abdomen, she said it doesn't look like there was any place where there could have been it's an emboli, which I guess is a fancy word for blood clot. I don't know. I didn't look it up. I know embolism, ain't that a blood clot? Maybe emboli's short for that. I didn't look it up. I just knew that they were looking for blood clots, and she called it an emboli, so I put two and two together. She said there was nothing that would have indicated where a blood clot would have come from. She said, but I still want to do your heart echo because then it would tell us if there's anywhere a blood clot would have come from your heart, from the valves of your heart or whatever. She goes, and she wants to add some kind of something on my feet and ankles to make sure I'm actually getting blood flow like I should down there. So they were able to schedule that. back to back. I already had my echo scheduled. It's next Thursday. And they were able to schedule the foot thing. It's like, she said it's a non-invasive test, but they do it over there where they do cardiology. So I was able to actually get one back to back, so I didn't have to sit in Charlotte and wait, and I didn't have to go back because it's in the heart of Charlotte, which where I hate going. I hate driving in Charlotte. And but she said there's a thing called blue toe syndrome, I think is what it called, blue toe something. She goes that sometimes when that happens, we worry that that's what that could be. Where I don't even know, but long story short, it's still not 100% ruled out that it was a blood clot that broke off from somewhere and settled down there and did that to my toe. It is not 100% been ruled out. And even if the echo rules out any situation that they can see, she goes, sometimes it happens and we do not know what caused it or where it came from. She said the human bodies are, I can't even think of the word she used, are still a mystery. That's what she said. She goes, they're still a mystery. She said, we don't know everything. And she said, and we don't always know where they happened. So it could have been a blood clot that went down there and cut the circulation off to my toe. So that is why I've not been walking. Because it's swelled up and purple, and I don't really want to cram it in a tight fitting tennis shoe until it goes down, because I don't want to aggravate it any more than it already is. So, which that's been fine with my knees, because my knees have been in terrible shape. Gaining 5 pounds don't help. So that's my big long boring story about what has happened to me the past couple of days. I guess that's all I know. So I'll keep you updated whenever they find out from my echo. I did find out though that I have a small hiatal hernia. Who knew? I hope it don't get no bigger, because those things start making you choke on your food and everything. I know sometimes my food, it will hang. Sometimes drinks will hang in my throat. Does that happen to y'all sometimes? Like you'll take a drink and then it don't want to go down immediately and just sits there in your throat? That's kind of annoying. But little bit of hard to know the arteries, just a little bit, not some calcification, nothing to worry about. But you know, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Now, I'm glad that I have doctors that will go the extra mile, even if they find out there's nothing that they see. I'm glad they go the extra mile to make sure, instead of just saying, oh, well that toe's just purple, you probably bumped it, don't remember. I'm glad there were doctors that wanted to do all these tests just to make sure there has been no kind of episode with a major blood clot or any blockages or anything like that. So that's that. That's all I know. So listen, those little cardinals, there's 2 of them. They are just playing back and forth, going from the tree to the stop sign, and playing at the end of the driveway. I love cardinals. You know that's our state bird, is cardinal. So, all right. Well, that is all I know. I might just sit here and watch them and finish my coffee before I go in and put this video up. So, love you. I'll see you on the next video.